Well, it looks like it tried to snow a bit overnight. Oh, this is an interesting one. It's quite cold. Not much though. We don't really get an awful lot around here, snow-wise. Well, sometimes we do, but on the whole we don't. So this is what I guess what was forecast. I was hoping it'd be a bit, a bit thicker. It would have covered everything. It's just like a light shower that's frozen. You don't feel quite as cold as it did yesterday morning though. But I am coming out a little bit later. It took me a while to get ready. And I've got things to do. So this one's not going to be as long. And if I do come out tomorrow, that won't be either, because I have a telephone appointment with the doctor just to check up. So, but I think all the school kids are back to school today after the Christmas break. So that must have been fun in the rush hour this morning. But, actually, now I am feeling it. It didn't feel quite as cold today as it did yesterday, but I'm feeling it a little bit now. Anyway. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I suppose I could start my chat this year about games, specific games. And I thought I would start with Stardew Valley, because I think that is a great game. I know it's sort of nothing like the genre of games that are my favourite. It doesn't fit into even the category of games that I would normally play, to be honest with you. Like a farming RPG, old school pixel game. No, not really my thing. It's a blackbird. And I must confess, on the surface, it wouldn't have been something that I would have played. But I gave it a chance and found it extremely addictive. And a really well put together game. And I'll talk in more depth. God, my mouth's frozen. In more depth when we get to the park, as I'm looking at a very strange phenomena up ahead. I don't think the camera might be able to pick this up, but there's steam coming out of the ground. But here, it's only visible in the sunlight. Hang on, squirrel up there, foraging away. But here, from a distance, that looked really weird, because you could only see the steam coming out of this grid in the sunlight. So it looks like the steam's kind of materialising halfway up. I don't think you can really see it on the camera. That's my breath, that. Anyway. Yeah. Because I've come out a bit later and I do have things to do. It's not going to be the full-on walkie talkie. But I should have enough time to cover. Excuse me. My nose is running. The cold. Should have enough time to cover Stardew. So we'll do that. And we'll get to the park, get that done, and then carry on. So I will see you guys there. Oh, right. Here we are. So let's get started quickly. So I first became aware of this game, Stardew Valley. It was actually my missus playing it to death, like hours and hours and hours, almost every day. And I was like, what is this game that you keep playing, this Stardew Valley? Like, it must be good, because you're not playing any other games, just this. So she was telling me about it, and at first I was like, all right, oh well, you know, if you like it, fair enough. And I probably went back to whatever shooter or racing or football game I was playing at the time, or whatever RPG I was immersing myself into at the time. And yeah, it's like, fair enough. But she was kept saying, you need to play it, you need to try it. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. You know, it's not really my thing. I not really paid much attention to it, because I dismissed it as being similar to, you know, like a mobile phone game, of which the games like that were around at the time. Was it Farmville or something? And I don't really do mobile phone games. I'll play the odd one now and then. You know, if I'm like, don't have access to anything else. You know, if I'm waiting for an appointment or, you know, whatever. But I don't do mobile games. I think for the most part, they're crap. A lot of them are either full of ads or they've got pay-to-win mechanics. And I've no interest in it. You know, why pay? Why even bother when I've got a Switch? Or, you know, back then I had it would have been the 3DS. Why would I bother, you know, playing on a touchscreen thing? I'm not a big fan of touchscreen tech, to be honest with you. For trying to play games, it's imprecise. It doesn't feel natural to me. But in any event, I then thought, you know what? Sod it. I think it was on sale on the PS4, and I decided to get it and give it a go. Well, that was it. It was like, oh dear God, this is really addictive. And it wasn't, we didn't play like a mobile game in the slightest. It played like an old school 16-bit game. But there's obviously much more layers of complexity behind it, but that's what it played like. And I could see the addictiveness of this game in how it was structured. there is so much to do. And at the end of each, you have a limited amount of time each day to do what you need to do, and then you have to sleep at night to recover your energy and what have you. You can also recover your energy by eating stuff, but the game was just cram-packed with things to do. And it covered a whole lot of bases, a whole lot of genres. You got your farming and your crafting and your cooking and all that kind of stuff. Building and designing your farmland and expanding your farmhouse and stuff. But in order to do that, you've got to go down into mines and fight enemies and what have you. So you got like the action, old school action part of it, running around with your sword, sort of Legend of Zelda style. And that part really appealed to me. But, and then you've got your whole sort of interacting with your villagers and all that stuff as well that, you're sharing the town with. And it was one of them games that drew me in. It's like suddenly it's like, God almighty, I've been playing this for hours. It doesn't feel like it because there's so much to do. There's always so much to do. There's so many tasks and things to find and unlock. And the stuff that improves, like you improve your weapons and your equipment and so on. There's loads and loads and loads of it. And yeah, sorry, I was just stopping, I could hear a noise, I wondered what it was. It was a bird ferreting around in some leaves and stuff. But yeah, just stack loads of stuff to do in it. And it's so well put together. And it's so playable. And it was just a game I never thought I'd like. I must confess, I never thought I would. I expected to give it a whirl and then go, yeah, okay, and then go back to whatever it was I was playing at the time. But this game ended up consuming many hours, many hundreds of hours of my life playing it. And it is so good. It's fun to play. But it's kind of relaxing as well. And that was part of it, that I was an unexpected bonus for me in playing it. It was an unexpected bonus because it being a relaxing game was not something that I was looking for. It was not something that I expected. What I expected was something that, like I say, would probably annoy me, and then I'd end up stop playing it because there'd be something that would grate against me, stress me out. And I'm used to games that were quite frenetic, like first-person shooters, very intense, visceral experiences. I kind of came from playing games as a child, playing side-scrolling or vertically scrolling shooters, for example, and platform games which required intensive timing, or shooters that required fairly quick reflexes, almost blink and you'll die type games, So that was kind of where I came from with it. That was my gaming background, and carried on over into first-person shooters and RPG style games, you know, where there was a high degree of intensity. So suddenly to be playing a game that was much less intense and was more relaxing and chill, that was something I just wasn't expecting to have happen at all. And it was certainly something that I wasn't expecting to take to in the slightest, to be honest. But I did. And the game itself, you know, it's a pixel game. It's very old school looking. You know, it doesn't use polygons or anything like that. But it visually is great. It looks great in its style. It looks fantastic. And I really enjoy playing it. I actually own it on multiple systems. I own it on PC. I own it on the Switch, Nintendo Switch, and I own it on the PS5 or PlayStation. It sort of worked over, came over from the PS4 version that I had. Now, the reasons for that are simple. I got it on the PlayStation because back then I didn't have a gaming PC. I then got it on PC when I got a gaming PC. Well, actually, it was a laptop. And it'd work on my on the laptop that I had. It worked fine on there. There were certain games I could get to run on there okay. Others, it wasn't having any of it. But yeah, it ran Stardew perfectly fine. And by extension, of course, when I got my gaming PC, it worked fine on there, obviously. And then the Switch, because I wanted a portable version of it. And when I ended up going in and out of hospital and then having my long stay in hospital at the back end of last year and the beginning of this year, my Switch helped keep me going. There's no two ways about it. That and me Taito arcade collection, handheld, that kept me going. It really did. There's nothing worse. Days are very long in hospital. Sometimes nights can be even longer. And, you know, I needed something that was going to take my mind off what I was going through. And the Switch was a godsend, to be honest with you. And Stardew, because of its nature, of how it draws you in and how many hours can pass very quickly while you're playing it, it was essential for me. And I played a lot. Now, while I was in there, Eric Barone, yes, I remembered his name. I didn't call him Eric Romano or Ray Romano or Ray Barone, which is always what I end up calling him. Eric Barone released an update, a big update, and I remember setting my phone as a portal so I could download the update. Absolutely rinsed my data that day on my phone, but it was worth it to get the update, enabling me to. So I started a new farm while I was in there, take a full advantage of the update, and yeah, I had a huge amount of fun with it. But yeah, I absolutely love the game. It's a brilliant game. It's so well put together, and you know, the vast majority of that game was programmed by one guy. Eric Barone did it himself. Now, I know he got help when it comes to the netcode for the multiplayer element to it. But I was watching a video actually on this yesterday with my missus. We were watching a video about it. You know, in thinking about doing this, in doing this video. And it took him years. You know, his girlfriend, his partner, you know, helped out an enormous amount. She was working and helping, you know, pay the bills and the cost of living while he was developing the game. I think he himself got a part-time job too, but he was spending many hours making this game over years. You know, this isn't some kind of shovelware quick game. It wasn't done as a get-rich-quick scheme by any stretch of the imagination. And it's, in some ways, it's quite a touching tale, really, because, you know, he put all this effort into it, and he himself didn't think it was any good, you know, according to this video. And he was hoping, when it went out on sale, he was hoping that he might sell 10 to 20,000 copies of the game. That was his sort of, if he makes them numbers, that'll be fine. And at the end of its first week, he had done 500,000. And that must have been mind-blowing for him. He's done millions now. He's done millions, and yeah, I think he deservedly is probably quite a wealthy individual right now. But he deserves it. He deserves it because of the work that he put in, long hours of sort of being by himself. You know, details that in there. You know, details how he, you know, they ended up moving into a house and had some friends moving with them, so he wasn't alone in the house for hours and hours and hours while he was making it. It's a very human story, and in many respects, so's the game. You know, there's obviously there's fantasy stuff to it. You know, with the creatures and monsters that you come across. But it's also a very human story in that game about someone that sort of flees from the mundane nature of city life, working in an office. And as somebody myself who did that for many years, how soul destroying that is, how dehumanizing that process is. You lose contact with life, really. It's awful when you think about it. You know, I wish if I lived my life again, I would have got a job, an outdoors job, you know, maybe something like a park ranger or something like that out there like this. Yeah, I mean, you see that is a squirrel going vertical on that tree. But yeah, being outside for a living like this, you know, would have loved that. You know, For those of you who've never experienced being stuck in an office, being stuck in front of a screen, typing in numbers or whatever, all day, every day, the utter soul-destroying nature of that existence, and it's thankless. You know, when it all comes down to it, it's meaningless. You know, I've had companies that I work hard for, bosses just decide to close it. They made the money, that was it, they were done. And they make the staff redundant. And all my work, everything that I did, the hours that I put in that weren't paid, so that was a sacrifice on my part, all of that is gone. I've nothing to show for it. It's zero impact. All I did was help somebody else get wealthy while I was feeding from scraps off the table. And maybe that's why Stardew sort of spoke to me quite in the way that it did. Maybe because of the nature of that game, and the backdrop is, you are a person that escapes the rat race, escapes the mundane nature, and starts life as a farmer, starts life, something that is perhaps spiritually fulfilling. Maybe that's why that resonated quite a bit with me, Sadly, farming isn't a thing I could do. I'm physically wrecked in that department, But creating something and putting something out there is far more satisfying, no matter how good or bad it may be. It's always a thing that you have to judge for yourself and not let others judge it for you. I think my hope would be that Eric Barone learned that lesson when he thought that the game was rubbish. Yes, it sold very well, and you could say that's other people judging it, but the hope is that he saw that he did create something that was good and something that was very worthwhile, and not be harsh on yourself, and that would be my hope, that he was able to do that. I hope that he sees the value in what he did, what he's created, and what he's currently creating with the Haunted Chocolatier. I really do hope that he sees that, because he's created a fantastic game, and a game that just stands up there as showing that you don't need to be part of a multi-billion-dollar publishing studio or publishing team, that you don't need to be, skilled in the art of making polygons with, real-time lighting and all that other guff that seems to have so much importance played on it, that you can create something that is a great experience, like Stardew Valley. And it is a wonderful game. It is a wonderful game. It's certainly one of the best games I've ever played. Well worth well worth the time and investment in it. And, you know, to sort of move it a little bit further, he's provided a lot of updates and DLC for this game, and he's never charged a penny for years now. He's actually currently working on another major update, and he's, you know, he doesn't charge for it. You know, the game has expanded and become bigger. There's many more areas to explore, more monsters, more levels of complexity, and more things to do that's been added to that game over its launch period, and never once has he asked for a penny. And I'm talking hours and hours and hours of content here, and never once has he asked for anything. And yet you get these massive multi-billion-dollar corporations nickel and diming you to death, you know, and for what? You know, for content that should be in the game, and he's not done that. He's not done that. So, you know, I have enormous amounts of respect for that guy. He's valuable, you know, as a game maker. He's valuable, and he's made gaming better for millions of people with his game. And that's pretty much it, to be honest. I don't want to go into too much detail in case anybody wants to play the game, because the discovery of things in the game and the exploration of things in the game is one of the things that's great. I know it won't be to everybody's taste, but then I didn't think it would be to mine, but it was. And I think if you want a game, even if you're like your intense shooters, which I do, but you can't play them all the time. Sometimes you need a palate cleanser. You need something that's a change of pace. You need something that you can just play to take your mind off things, that's not like having a panic attack, you know, in digital form. And Stardew is that game for me. And I can't say anything other than that, other than to recommend it and say to people to give it a chance, because I think you'll enjoy it. I really do. You know, if that's what you're looking for, just something different. It's not expensive. I think it was about £15 to buy it. I don't know what is that, about $20? It's not expensive. And there's probably thousands of hours of content in that game, to be honest. So, yeah, that'll be it for me. As I say, it's going to be a relatively short one today. But yeah, check it out. It's well worth it. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see if I can get one together tomorrow. It's just going to be depending, because I do have a telephone appointment in the morning. It's whether or not I'm up early enough to be able to, you know, come out, do my thing and get back in time to prepare for that. So yeah, I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow. If not, Wednesday. We'll see. And yeah, I'll catch you all later.